How's it going, gamers? Chongo here, and today I've got a review for you guys, and today's review is going to be of The Walking Dead Survival Instinct for PC. The game is set to tell the backstory of Daryl and Merle. The only problem is Merle is hardly ever in the game, and when he is, you don't really get to interact with him much besides small cutscenes. And it doesn't really follow a mechanism where he would run alongside you or anything like that. Most of the time when you see him, he's sort of stuck in a little box area and you just talk to him every now and then. Even though the game is meant to be a survival game, it doesn't really work out well considering zombies aren't that hard to kill in this game. The only trouble is when you get surrounded by a massive group of zombies and it forces you to stab one in the head, which is a terrible mechanic that doesn't seem to work very well at all. The game is also very linear to the point that some cars won't even let you walk around them, and sometimes when you walk too far, Daryl will say something like, "Oh, I better not go wandering off," and turn you back around. So the game makes it feel like you can walk further than you actually can, and even what you think you can walk isn't really that big to begin with. So if you go too far exploring in this game, you're just going to hit invisible walls or be turned back around. Now, this is the biggest aspect of the game that I'd like to be increased. It would be really awesome if this game had not really open world. It doesn't need to be that big, but big enough so that you can walk around and you don't have to worry about walking too far or not being able to jump over something because it's blocked and it won't let you get past that point. There are many different weapons that you will use in the Survival Instinct. The only problem is they seem to release them way too fast towards the end of the game and not enough in the beginning. So for the first hour or two, you'll be not really having many weapons at all, and then when it gets to the last 2 hours, you'll just have so many weapons coming at you that you won't have enough inventory space to hold them all, and even you can't store them all in your car. The point of the game is Daryl making his way to an evac in Atlanta. Now, this sounds good enough. The only problem is the story seems to throw itself around a lot, and for the most part you don't really know where you're going. You just click on the map and it'll tell you 2 different locations and you just choose one. Once you go to choose your location, you'll have 3 options. One which will be going via highways, which means you have a high chance of breaking down and don't really have many stops. The other is the streets, so this is, you still have a sort of chance of breaking down but you have more stops. And the other one is back roads, where you use a lot of fuel but you'll have a lot of chances to stop for supplies. This aspect of the game is done really well, and I would have liked to see more ideas like this in the game. However, when stopping for supplies, the areas that you go to aren't unique, and you may see the same area more than once, and even sometimes straight after you've just been to the same area, so it can get quite repetitive when you go to the same area 3 times in a row, which obviously doesn't make any sense if you're going on a straight path to a location. Throughout the game, you'll have to pick up fuel for your vehicle to continue along your journey. Now, this is implemented really well and it's enjoyable. The only problem is it gets quite annoying at some points when you're running out of supplies, as fuel takes up some of your inventory as well, and you've got to try and mix it out for obviously more important stuff, but if you run out of fuel, you'll eventually die, so you don't really want that to happen. The game controls feel kind of clunky and it'll take a bit of time to get used to it. Some mechanics introduced into the game seem kind of unnecessary. For example, when running for a certain amount of time, so you'll have water pour down your screen, and it's meant to simulate sweat, but it doesn't really make much sense considering you'll run for about 10 seconds and all of a sudden your whole screen will be covered in sweat. A good mechanic that is introduced in the game is a survivor system, so this will allow you to pick up survivors along the way on your journey, and they can join you in your car, and then you can give them missions, for example, sending off someone to go find some ammo or some food or something like that, and you can also give them weapons. This was implemented well. The only problem is it seemed like the majority of the time your survivor would end up dying if you didn't spec them with the right stuff, and even some of the time when you did, they still had a high chance of dying, and you'd probably never see the survivor again once you sent them off. Now, there is some fun in this game. For example, lining up zombies to get multiple headshots with a rifle or a shotgun is really fun, and also using a flare or a glass bottle to throw it and attract zombies away from you is good. The only problem is without any real tutorial, it doesn't explain these features and you're left to find it out on your own. Using Daryl's signature crossbow is really fun and provides a silent alternative to your normal guns that you have in the game. And the only problem is you don't get it till much later in the game, whereas if it was released earlier in the game, you probably would have had a lot more fun with it, considering you would have had more time to use it. But using it is quite fun, and I would have liked to have more time doing that as opposed to the game ending really quickly. The campaign only lasts for about 6 hours, and there is no co-op or multiplayer modes. Although the game does have some fun aspects, for the most part you're not really going to be having a very enjoyable experience, and for a 6-hour campaign, the game really isn't worth more than $10. So if you can rent this game, I'd definitely recommend that, but for the most part this game doesn't feel like it's worth your time or money, and just feels like it's cashing in on the success of the TV show. This brings me to the end of my review of The Walking Dead Survival Instinct for PC. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, and if you've got any comments about The Walking Dead, put it down below, and if you want to join the Gamerhood, just subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.